I think, a point away to one of your big rivals who, on paper, are a better side and have proved that in the last sort of couple of seasons. I don't think it's a terrible effort from Arsenal at all.
I can't personally criticise Arteta for it, other than the fact that it was a bit boring.
The stone, it has been moved, everybody. Welcome to the Football Ramble. A stalemate at the Etihad and a barn burner at St James's. It's Monday, 1st of April. I'm Marcus Speller.
I'm Pete Donaldson.
I'm Luke Moore.
And I'm Vinicius Nantharaj.
Now, let's start with Manchester City 0, Arsenal 0. Easter eggs?
No.
Goose eggs?
Dog eggs.
Kind of. Dog's eggs, definitely.
Dog's eggs.
Yeah.
Dog's eggs?
Yeah.
Poop.
It's a poo.
Oh.
You know, how can you not know that?
I've never heard that.
Never stepped in a dog egg.
You don't like dogs, do you?
No, I love dogs.
Oh, right.
Don't like their eggs, though.
Don't protest too much.
Make your mind
Yeah,
up.
sorry, I don't like dog shit. Oh, sorry. What is this?
You've got to accept
What
is
dogs.
this?
You've got to accept them all.
If you
You've
don't
got to
like-
accept them for what
If
they
you
are.
don't like
Can't
dog
take
shit,
it.
don't watch this fucking game. Don't watch this back.
The first time Manchester City hadn't scored in 58 home matches. So they're now winless versus the top 5 in the league this season already.
Oh,
Disaster.
yeah.
Panic times.
Till you look at the league table.
Yeah. I tell you something. Look, when all's said and done, it wasn't a particularly riveting game, but there was but you were
Good for the league, though, isn't it?
good for the league,
Good for
exactly.
the league.
But there was a
It
lot
was
of
intriguing.
It was
Yeah.
intriguing, I
Yeah.
think. But you have to say, Arsenal have defended superbly against Manchester City this season in the league.
Yeah,
They
both
haven't
games.
given them anything.
Yeah.
And I know that Arsenal have been criticised for maybe not going for it a bit more, or whatever expression you want to use. However, surely if you're Arteta, the objective of this game was to not lose it.
Definitely, and I think they set themselves up in a way to give themselves the best chance of getting the result they felt they needed. And I think if you're
Yeah.
going for the title, that's it's pretty harsh to criticise them for that. I mean, I would like to criticise them on the level of the fact that it ruined my Sunday afternoon.
Uh-huh.
And I think the collective.
You want that privilege, don't you?
I do, exactly. I'll do it myself. I'm perfectly capable of doing that myself, thanks very much.
Mm.
The nation's collective football fans were all willing this to be a good game
Yes.
because, you know, if you looked at it, given the state of the league table a couple of weeks out, like, that is going to be a banging game. We're really looking forward to that. And we did get amazing entertainment elsewhere in the league, which we're going to come on to. But this was, my point is just that that's not Arteta's priority. His priority is to get the best results he can. And it's not just against Man City now. If you look at the underlying numbers, I hope Mauricio Pochettino's listening to this, the underlying numbers of Arsenal, like the data and stuff, they are doing brilliantly well defensively against reducing other teams' shots and all the rest of it. I think City have one shot on target.
Yeah.
And if you look at the record they've had over the last however many seasons, particularly at home, it's an incredible achievement. And that's what they set out to do, and that's what they achieved. I can't personally criticise Arteta for it, other than the fact that it was a bit boring. But I mean,
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the league table, obviously they're 2 points behind Liverpool. They're a point above Manchester City. You know, getting that point, of course, keeps them a point above Manchester City. It's effectively 2, though, because of that superior goal difference. And Arsenal have been so good at putting teams to the sword that I think that could have been part of the plan. You know, like let's get the goal difference up because, you know, marginal gains, all that kind of stuff. If they lose that game, they're still in the title, but it would be such a psychological blow, I think. One could say, well, the top scorers in the league, a little bit disappointing they didn't sort of go for it. But I don't know. I thought, I agree with you, Luke. I thought that they actually did create a few openings, and they thought, let's play this game as a single game. You know, it's not a cup competition. Do you know what I mean? You know, in that you've just got to win however you can. I think a point away to one of your big rivals who, on paper, are a better side and have proved that in the last sort of couple of seasons. I don't think it's a terrible effort from Arsenal at all.
No, not at all. I think the one thing that they might rue is it felt like Odegaard and Jorginho were a bit wasteful in possession.
Yeah.
Given how little of it they had.
they didn't have much possession, did they?
Yeah,
No.
I thought like Odegaard, he wasn't quite his usual self. There were a few awry passes, and he seemed to lack like I suppose confidence fundamentally on the ball. And when they brought Trossard on in the second, when Arsenal brought Trossard on in the second half, he gave them that kind of a bit more, I suppose, a chest puffing outness on the ball, as it were, up until when he should have squared it. I know I'm not saying like it's going to be a defining moment in the season, but it felt a little bit like, that breakaway at Anfield that didn't come to fruition last year, which they could have won them that game. I did wonder a bit about that, but as you said, they defended brilliantly against City. I think they closed them down really well. City were really disappointing, I thought, as well. I think it also shows how valuable Kyle Walker is, because Kanji isn't quite the same on the right. He's not someone who's going to... You're not necessarily worried about a Kanji coming in behind you. There's maybe a few moments where, De Bruyne hits a raking pass to Walker, bombing down that way. What I did think was pretty cool, probably the only thing I actually enjoyed from the game, was Rico Lewis's cameo.
I'd like that.
He came on and he was just like a ball of energy. He was everywhere. He was so confident.
An amazing turn on the edge of the penalty area.
Yeah.
At that point,
It's what the game needed at that point.
Yeah,
as
it
well.
did. It was like,
forward
bring
to
on another
seeing-
one.
I look forward to seeing how he kind of develops, because we know he's a great player already. So it would be intriguing.
It's a great testament to Arsenal. If you put it another way, they were the away side, of course, and they had a lot to protect. The punditry ended up with Roy Keane calling Erling Haaland a League Two player, and Guardiola saying in the press conference he wanted to kill a player because the opposition played so deep.
Do you think Roy Keane? He's been waiting for that because of the old Erling and.
Well, I think he might. There's been talk that Roy Keane's had like 2 or 3 interviews for an unnamed club job as a manager. He's going to go back into management. I was thinking it might be in League Two, and he's trying to get him on loan.
I think with the old Alfinger and all that business, he was like, when can I have a?
But
pop
you
at
reckon
his
he
son?
wants to put a dig? You reckon that's the motivation for it?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
I think they've all moved past that, to be honest.
There was an
Oh,
amazing.
yeah, to be fair,
not to
Keane-
say there's not still ill feeling there, certainly from Haaland's perspective, but I think everyone's moved past
I think
that.
it's quite easy as a dad to sort of live through your son when your son is.
There was an amazing bit where in the broadcast where Theo Walcott touched Roy Keane on the shoulder, and I thought, don't do that.
No.
You are not the sort of player Roy Keane wants to be sat next to with the pundits. Like the anti-Roy Keane Theo Walcott. You could just tell Roy Keane's. I'm not saying this
He's
is
like,
right
what's
or
he
wrong.
doing here?
Yeah, you could just tell Roy Keane thought Walcott was just the most flaky bloke.
Yeah.
And then he
Oh,
touched
he's,
him
a
on the shoulder.
he's a lovely
I'm
little
not
man.
saying it's right or wrong.
Yeah, I don't
It's
think
Keane's
that's
opinion, not mine.
But I think
that you're
Keane is,
giving us,
I think Keane is definitely in his like sweet old man phase at the moment.
which is
Till he gets in that dugout.
yeah. But that's his sweetness is a much sort of lower bar. If you see
Roy
what I mean.
Keane
Like
is
kind of like Japanese sweet treats, which are like there's quite subtle sweetness to them.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
I,
a nice way of
th-
putting
I
it.
think you go for a pint with Roy Keane at tea time and you're having a great old time. It's just you and him in a local pub and you have 5, 6, 7 beers and you're having a cracking time. And at one point he just goes,
That's right.
clip, splits over, goes,
What did you
what are
say?
you laughing at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before you know it, he's marching you to the cash point.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
He's like,
It completely
I know a place
flips.
where we can eat humans.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He flips on you like that.
Yeah, I
and
know
I think
what
he'd
you
do
mean.
that to Walcott. And I
Yeah,
think he
fair
would. I
enough.
think he would eat Walcott and not even remember it.
I think Walcott would have a chance of getting away from him, though.
Yeah, he would.
In his
Yeah.
prime.
For about 15 seconds till his hamstring went.
I tell you what, though.
Why are we,
that's-
Micah Richards
why
on
are
the-
we digging out?
Micah
Theo
Richards had a pop
Walcott?
at him as well.
Theo
Didn't he?
Walcott.
Yeah, he did, because Walcott at
Go
one
on.
point said that Salah was going. It was for the earlier game, and Walcott was said that Salah was going for the Walcott finish because obviously he scuffed it.
Did he say that?
And Micah Richards said he did do the Walcott finish.
Ah,
It was lovely banter.
Lovely banter.
Jamie Redknapp poked his head and just went, lovely banter.
Is that what he
Yeah.
said? Well, back
This
to
I like.
yeah. Ahead of the Man City Arsenal game, Pep Guardiola said in regards to Arsenal, to fight for one title that you haven't won for many years, it is easy. I don't think it is, because how many new Premier League winners have we seen? We'd all have one,
Yeah.
wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Do you also think that Mikel, because this is the master versus apprentice type chat, isn't it, for people who are hackneyed enough to get into that kind of stuff? But one thing that's not mentioned is that how sensible Mikel Arteta's trousers and shoes are.
Yeah.
He wears like a very sensible cut of like just the bottom half of a suit, trousers, cloth,
Right.
and like a sensible pair of like Oxford black shoes.
Okay. Right.
And Guardiola's not that, is he? So do you think he's trying to like, sort of mark himself as different from Guardiola, who does like to push the boundaries a lot more when it comes to touchline fashion?
Well, he wears a lot of club shop clubber, doesn't
Yeah,
he? He
yeah.
sort of indulges in that side of
Does
things.
he?
So
No,
I don't know.
I don't think
He wears the old hoodie,
Yeah,
doesn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
he has
That's not-
customised kind of like terrace wear,
Yes.
but with a Manchester City badge here and there.
Oh,
I think.
okay. Yeah, I know what you
Did
mean.
you see that video where that the famous TikTok crying man was interviewing?
I don't know the
I
famous-
don't know who that is.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He's
yeah.
a kind of bloke who I think has been a career he's been acting, I think, for a certain amount of time, but his speciality is having a lovely little cry.
Right.
And he's on TikTok and he does kind of like public service announcements like, don't leave a child in a paddling pool for too long. And it ends with him crying because his son's died in a
It
paddling
sounds
pool.
terrible.
Oh, it's terrible. It is
Why are you
awful.
putting
It's
that
Yes,
to the
it
table?
is
Yeah.
awful.
because
yeah.
he's a famous crying man on TikTok,
Right.
and back in the day, there was a video clip that surfaced over the weekend that where the TikTok crying man was interviewing Mikel Arteta in a car, and it was like, oh, that guy,
Did he cry at the
and
end?
that guy,
Did he cry at the end?
Uh,
This is-
maybe.
This is like when Vish had to explain to Marcus and I what the stanky leg was. But Daniel Sturridge was on Sky
Yeah,
Sport Monday Night Football.
Lovely.
I felt though it didn't take as long.
And I felt like I'd learned something.
Yeah, but to be fair, Pete did bring that back because I wouldn't have expected him to interview Mikel
It was
Arteta.
gonna go-
Perhaps neither did Mikel.
It was going to go one of two ways. He was going to go that, or he was going to go. Pete was going to say, and the
We're
TikTok
going
cry
out.
man is me.
Yeah.
And I said nothing because I wasn't the TikTok cry.
And he was crying for Jack Grealish at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yes.
mean, Jack Grealish is. I was actually quite surprised.
Another TikTok man, Jack.
I would say that that Jack Grealish being brought on was a surprise.
Why is that?
But I also, because he's not been very good and he's having a terrible season and he wasn't ever really likely to affect the game in any way.
I don't think he's been that poor this season. I just think he hasn't played that much.
I thought he had a decent influence to a point.
Can I just make the final point, which is just that, and what it shows you actually is that because he brought Grealish and Doku on at the same time.
That's right.
And it felt a bit like for the first time in however long, it felt just a bit to me to a bit like, oh, I'm just going to try this because Arsenal was so
Yeah.
good.
I felt
Mm.
well. I
Back.
think, but I think that was fine because he knew they had a lot of possession, so it was unlikely that they were going to concede too much.
But it also shows you, I think, the narrative has been powerful about Liverpool having so many players missing. That's been the thing, isn't it? We talked about it on Saturday. Is it a great achievement because it's Klopp's final season and they've had so many injuries? Man City's injuries have been pretty catastrophic as well, by the
They've
way.
had a lot, yeah.
That's by 4 centre backs in this game.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's
delicious.
And even with that, Grealish hasn't really made an effect on the game on the season at all by his own standards.
But he has been out for a long time, and then he's had that recurring injury.
Mm.
Yeah, but
He got battered by
he
Guardiola
got
after
the
the game.
Nathan Redmond treatment,
He
didn't he,
did.
after the game? What I found intriguing, though, is that it was the way Grealish totally accepted it and took it.
yeah.
It just shows you. I know people think, well, what you expect him to argue?
Shows how much they buy
Well,
into it, yeah.
possibly we've seen that, but it shows how they buy into it exactly. The way he was just like, yeah, no, I've got you, and it didn't look like he was just trying to shut Guardiola up. Yes, there may have been an element of that, but
Richard Keys took it well.
well, yeah. I mean, let's
BN Sports, they showed it on BN Sports, and Richard Keys and Andy Gray were. Richard Keys is a presenter, right? He's never ever been, as far as I know, a football pundit or a football expert, right?
He's been broadcasting around football.
He's
for
been
a while.
indulged, I think, because it
big
was
time.
Keys and Andy actually
Yeah.
for a long time.
But
Keys and Andy, famously. on
Keys
Nickelodeon.
and Andy.
Oh, dear.
It's like Keenan and Kel, but
Well,
awful.
He's been broadcast. He's been a broadcaster, a presenter, on football for long enough to have better opinions and better insights than this.
Save it for the dressing room. It's all for the cameras, isn't it? It's so tiresome. Go down the tunnel. Shouldn't even be on the pitch.
Shouldn't even be on the pitch.
It's nice of them
He
to-
just was playing. The whistle's just gone. That would be odd. Would that not be odder if the whistle went and Guardiola
Everyone
just
just
looked
dissolved.
at Grealish and pointed to the rest and they both sprinted down
Yeah.
there?
You come here.
Quick, Richard's looking.
I want a word with you, but we can't do it here. But I really want to say it now because it's fresh in my mind. Hurry up.
Richard Keys having a go at someone for being performative is quite.
Yeah. Doing something for the cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable.
At least they know when the cameras are on.
I thought like the way you.
Well played.
It's nice of them to broadcast something direct from Richard Keys' nephew's wedding, isn't
There
it?
we are.
That's basically what it sounds like.
Come
doesn't
on,
it?
come
Sounds
on.
like he's bending the ear of some younger people at the bar in a wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, and trust me, I know what that's like.
Don't kiss them at the top of the aisle. for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
I thought the way you explained it was good because Grealish clearly, or rather from Guardiola's perspective, he's always been someone who is that passionate at the end of a game. And Grealish knows that of him, and he knows, like, ironically, it's not performative. It's like, right, he's really annoyed with me here.
Yeah.
And he's explaining why he's annoyed. You know, you saw he was like pointing down channels and stuff like that. I really, really enjoyed the Gabriel, Haaland, Pep, three-way, as it were.
Bloody hell.
Because it was just like, I'm sure, like, I want a transcript of it, because they're obviously having their own thing. Guardiola, the worst man to calm down any situation,
that's right.
gets involved.
Let's get in the nuts and bolts.
It was basically both of them were at each other, and then he gets involved.
Relax!
But you could tell,
Drink water!
but you could
Gets
tell,
the sprinkler. Gets his mouth on the sprinkler.
I
Drink
thought,
water!
I thought they could have done the old, post semi-final against Inter Nou Camp, get the sprinklers out.
yeah. But you could tell Gabriel and Haaland were like, "Well, chill out, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're having a go at each other. Who are you?"
He knew. I think he knew it was a distraction tactic.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I think he's just sort of gone, he's probably got a knife. you
Yeah,
can
could.
imagine Pep
And then
Guardiola
at the end, when they hug each other, when Gabriel and Haaland hug each other, you can tell Gabriel's like, "Is he always like that?" And Haaland's like, "Yeah, mate." Fuck it."
Yeah.
That's
I'm
why I'm
so sorry.
Yeah, they've suddenly got
You
a
gotta
common
deal with
enemy.
that.
That's why I'm going to League Two next year.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. I tell you what, though, the Arsenal centre halves, Peter, they've got Haaland's number.
They have, but I mean,
Saliba
what is
was
it
brilliant.
about,
He
though?
was
They were-
brilliant.
But he's just. I just think they give him enough space to kind of not hang himself, but they just know how to work his angles.
Yeah.
I don't think they get particularly up close and personal with him. They just know how to.
At the end of the
how to
game,
go
they
with
do.
it. At the end, yeah, they have a.
No,
bit
you're
of a
right.
tussle,
I
but-
think the way that they marshalled him and so on was.
And that's exactly what
Superb.
you've got to do. You've got to get into. If you look at the kind of underlying stats around, say, the amount of influence or involvement Haaland actually has in a game like that, it's so minimal.
Yeah.
The drop off makes him seem almost completely irrelevant. Now, clearly, he's on paper probably the best striker in the world if you look at all the attributes he's got.
Well, I mean, he is.
Yeah, but the way he plays means he drifts out of games. He's not like a Jesus who's perhaps got the opposite problem. I know Jesus played off the left against City, but Jesus has got the opposite problem. The criticism of Jesus would be, and because they're different forwards, he's happy to get involved and he always wants to be on the ball, but he's rarely there to finish off moves. He doesn't make decisions quick enough. Haaland's the inverse of that.
Yes.
If you give Haaland's movement at his best, he's amazing.
Yeah.
If you give him enough room and you don't marshal the space, almost like an extension zonal marking or whatever, you don't marshal the space properly, he'll just score because he'll get so many chances. But what they did really well, as Pete says, they marshalled that space, but they also marshalled the flow from De Bruyne, who wasn't really that good because the way that Arsenal set up made it difficult for him. And that really is, when you haven't got Walker, as Vish said, and Foden's perhaps having an off day because he can't find the room either, they're basically limited probably 4 of the best club sides in the world's options on their own ground.
Yeah.
And that City have got no answer for that, which is partly why Guardiola was so frustrated and partly why he brought Doku and Grealish on, because he thought we're just going to fucking freshen it up.
It's night and day from how they play last season as well. Like Arsenal in this very situation.
Well, because he knew we're going toe to toe with them. It
We'll get beat.
It didn't work. And you're right to say, obviously, Haaland's possibly the best centre forward in the world. Certainly one of them, anyway. People don't say this about Saliba enough for my money. He's one of the best centre halves in the world.
Without doubt. Yeah.
But some people will go, well, of course he is. And why are you bothering saying that? The reason why, I just feel that I don't think that's said enough.
No,
I don't think there's that realisation. I don't know why. Maybe it's because Arsenal haven't gone deep in the Champions League in the last few seasons, or something like that, because they haven't been in it.
Doesn't start for France.
as
Maybe
much,
that's part of it as well.
And I'm very don't tell Deschamps.
I know. Yeah.
For crying out loud. It's a strange one.
I thought
I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, I thought they both did a lovely job on him actually, because Gabriel was the one who was like, seemed to be touch tight and having the most back and forth, obviously because of how things panned out at the end of the game as well. But Saliba was just like quietly picking his pocket.
He's much
all
cooler.
night.
He's much cooler than Gabriel. It's
It's
quite
a-
a nice combination.
Yeah, real nice yin and yang. And I think like a great example is like Gabriel committed 3 fouls yesterday and Saliba committed none.
Yeah.
Didn't have to.
There you are.
Yeah. And given that you only had 23% of the ball, 27% of the ball, that's an amazing thing, really.
Yeah, exactly. One man who did score against Arsenal, a Manchester City shirt, was Emmanuel Adebayor, of course. And on the latest episode of the Mailbag, the chap suggested that Manchester City should build a statue of that moment with him celebrating against Arsenal, which I thought was very amusing. Well, the plot thickens with regards to that goal. Mark Clattenburg.
Klatz, can you use his proper name?
Klatz, who we know obviously doesn't like much attention and kind of
the Clapman.
yeah.
big decision maker at Forest
The Clapman deserved better.
and Gladiators now.
And Gladiators. Well,
Gladiators FC.
He has come out and taken credit for his role in the goal. Now, he must have been encouraged by a lot of people to do this. Because
The unsung hero.
Because I know he
It's
was
like when they dish out like medals in the Second World War to like the Atlantic Crossing lads who got forgotten or whatever. Yeah.
Forget the statue. Get a tat.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Well, Clattenburg said of that incident, I cautioned Adebayor for inciting that small riot, of course, but it is amusing to think that the infamous celebration might have never happened were it not for what I decided to do seconds earlier. Nothing to do with the history of the fans or the goal he
Puppet
scored.
master.
Exactly, yeah. Sean
Geppetto.
Wright Phillips had been fouled by Gael Clichy over on the right wing. My assistant had flagged for the foul, but I signalled for the advantage to be played.
So he did his job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oi,
Yeah.
and the rest is history, as
Yeah.
they say.
You're
30
welcome.
feet
You're
from
welcome,
starting.
football.
My work here is done. So well done, Clattenburg. Also on the mailbag, the chaps discussed a very interesting question for which of Klopp, Arteta or Guardiola would winning the Premier League be the biggest achievement. So do scroll down in your podcast app to listen to that episode right after this one. And I wasn't on the show, so I can say I'm sure it would be a good... No, I have heard it, and it is a very good listen indeed.
I think Vish let us down a bit actually.
Why?
He will do that. Didn't let yourself down on Jack's Encyclopedia, though. on
No, you
Friday,
didn't.
did you?
Fair play.
Ooh,
New champion.
Spoilers for those who...
If you haven't listened to it by now,
I know, yeah.
I mean, you're no fan of ours.
Bruce Willis was dead the whole time. I'm the new Luke's game champion.
And Queen Anne is dead.
Makes you
Oh,
see...
Jack Grealish is whatever. I'm the champion.
If he was dead the whole time, then it would be called Dead Hard, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking a bit different film. Right, Liverpool 2, Brighton 1. Liverpool at top of the league. It was lovely to see Danny Welbeck scoring a great goal.
What a hit.
Hit.
Yeah,
And it stayed hit.
it
Mm.
did.
I
Very
mean,
much
it was a
did.
good
Came
goal,
out
but
of
people
nowhere.
went crazy because it's Welbeck, right?
I think
There's
that's...
a bit of that, isn't there?
I did.
With,
When I saw the goal...
I thought it'd be better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a lovely technique.
Yeah.
It's quite an awkward height to hit that ball.
True.
Fish, we all know that
You know what? I'm back on board. It was a brilliant
Yeah.
goal.
we all know that Welbs is that guy.
Yeah,
And we all
true.
know there's a seat right at the back of the plane for him if he wants it.
No, you're talking.
Just make the call.
No, you
I,
are
I
talking.
accidentally sent a picture of Danny Welbeck to my mum by accident.
Oh,
I
right.
meant to send her another picture, but it was just
A different Danny.
it was in my camera roll.
Which Danny did she want?
It was just a picture of a dog.
Danny
I was trying to
Glover.
send- yeah.
Danny DeVito?
Danny DeVito, any of the Dannies really.
Yeah.
Not that many Dannies kicking a
Do
ball,
you,
really.
do, you, do you basically do every Sunday you send your mum a picture of a famous
picture of
Danny?
It's famous Danny.
Yeah.
You go, it's your turn now.
Danny
Yeah.
Dicchio, not
Danny, the
famous
champion of the
in
world. Remember that? That was a reference.
Danny Boyle? Is that someone?
Yeah.
Probably.
Someone.
Probably.
Is that
The
someone?
director
I
of,
guarantee you
like,
there's a Danny Boyle out there.
the director of the London opening
that's it.
ceremony.
Yeah.
Fucking Elvis. Jesus.
I
He's
know.
crazy.
He's
He's
still
I
alive.
love it. I
isn't
love how you go. I don't know. As if how could you possibly know?
Yeah.
And let's leave that there. So it wasn't enough to get a victory or even a point, of course, because Liverpool turned it around the 7th time they've come back from behind this season, which is a club record apparently. Shows you the character of the side.
It does. They do have like a real. I remember earlier in the season, I forget which game it was now, that
Against Fulham.
it probably it might have been when they scored a goal pretty early in the game, and it was as inconsequential as a goal can be, which obviously every goal has some kind of consequence. And they were straight in the net, getting the ball running back to the halfway. They've got a lot of that about them, I think.
There is.
And I think Klopp, that's maybe the one thing, because if you look at Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal, all the teams have got an amazing amount to credit them, and it's going to be a fascinating title race. But in terms of that intensity, I would say that just the way they play and the way Klopp manages them means that they've maybe got a little bit of an edge on that stuff. And I think also it helped them that Brighton scored so early.
Yes.
I think that's something that they wouldn't have been too concerned about. But
It helps that Mo Salah's back, even though he missed a lot of chances.
He
but
missed so many chances.
Yeah, he did, but he got the goal though.
Yeah.
So ultimately, he was the match decider.
they always seem to make chances, Liverpool. That's the thing.
his
Yeah.
first start since New Year's Day.
Yeah.
That
It's
seems
mad, isn't it?
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big.
We
big
talk
miss.
about missing key players and all the
Yeah.
rest of it. But what I find incredible is the fact that they are top of the league and they've done that without Salah for a big period of the season. But when he came back, I didn't. When he was in the side, obviously that's a huge boost. But it wasn't the. I didn't think, oh my God, now they've got Salah, they're going to run away. I just thought, oh yeah, they've got this club legend, really good player, and he'll slot into the system and what's going on there, if you see what I mean. Which again,
No, yeah, I
it
understand.
shows what's going on. Darwin Núñez was at his chaotic best, which we enjoyed that. He looked square in the face of a young kid with a sign asking for his shirt while giving his shirt to a ball boy.
Perfect.
Which
Yeah.
Perfect.
Licking his lips.
That kid needs to choose his audience better.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to be asking for something a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, ask for the ball because he might just waywardly smash it in your direction.
I remember. I think I might have told this story on a previous show, but I remember when I was covering a game at Spurs, there was a family of 4 in the hospitality, in the good seats basically, and they organised that they managed to get their kid onto the pitch to run up to Son Heung-min, I think, to get his shirt, and then he ran back, but because he was in the nice seats, the stewards let him back on.
Oh, instead of
And I was
kicking him
like,
out.
fucking hell.
That's
Yeah,
poor.
I'm not a fan of this.
No, you shouldn't be doing
And
that.
I think a lot of that stuff is performative, so I do
Yes.
enjoy that bit of shithousery from Darwin.
Yeah, no,
I think,
very enjoyable.
I told you before that there was a pro-am golf tournament down in where I grew up, and my friend was a massive Arsenal fan, and loads of players were down there. Like Marco van Basten was down there back in the day. It was amazing. It was amazing. Like, everyone flooded down there, but Marco van Basten's in fucking Stubbington. Like, flew down. He was, right?
I don't know that town, but
There's the
what
short
a
He
title.
subs it up. It's not a town. I can't exactly remember. It might have been the golf course down the road. Anyway, it was a golf course near there, and we went down there. And my mate stood outside like all day for John Jensen's autograph, like his favourite Arsenal player. And literally, John Jensen looked him square in the face and said, "No, fuck off." And just went to his car and drove off. Like,
But the funny thing is,
kids don't have that kind of education now.
no, they don't.
No.
But the thing is, though, right?
There's always a camera phone.
Exactly.
Let's-
John Jensen
but
doesn't
let's
get
be-
away with that.
You don't understand that as a kid, but that story will do you very well as an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much better than him just going.
I've got John Jensen's autograph. Where is it? Don't know.
Who
Lost
ca-
it.
who
We moved
cares?
house. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. The great one, of course, is Eusebio at Wembley with our mate Rupert Fry's mate.
Go on.
Very unlucky, and he was signing all the autographs, and he
Yeah.
said his mate is a bit sort of Kevin Keegan, like just bad things happen to him for through none of
I
his
think
own
I
fault.
cursed, did he?
Yeah, maybe he was at the same cursing, and Eusebio's going down the road, people signing everything, and he gets to his mate, and he just "Can I have an autograph?" And Eusebio just goes, "No," and then finishes. Yeah, I've told that story before.
That's
on
the end
Ramble,
of it.
But
That's the end of
I
it.
felt it was relevant there. Yes. So now, obviously, Klopp's leaving at the end of the season. A lot of attention on Roberto De Zerbi
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
because
Yeah.
obviously Xabi Alonso's going to stay in Germany, and
What if he just tanks Brighton at the end of the season?
So their
like,
players,
further.
yeah. So their players
Hmm.
devalue,
Yeah.
and so he can buy them when he
Yes.
joins Liverpool.
I think that will
Yeah.
be noticed.
Would it?
Yeah.
He sort of left all of the possessions out in the rain. It's like it's water damaged. You don't want them anymore.
We're re-signing Adam Lallana. That'd be a rogue move, wouldn't
He'd
it?
be game.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, we do know that Xabi Alonso has announced that he will stay with Bayer Leverkusen next season, as he feels it's the right place for him, which I think is good.
It's refreshing, isn't it?
It is
Yeah.
refreshing. I just thought there was no chance he was going to go to Liverpool. Real Madrid. was-
Really?
yeah, I didn't.
Why?
Because it's a tough act to follow. Although some people do say that actually it's a squad in its ascendancy. They've got some young players who, yes, they have been kind of coached the Klopp way, but they're still mouldable in a way that you might.
I
wanna
can
do.
see why he'd want to be the guy after the guy after.
Yeah,
Klopp.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe, but also he's very early on in
Harry
Xabi
Kane's in
Alonso.
tears, presumably, is he?
Oh, he's gutted. He can't believe it. And they lost to Borussia Dortmund on the weekend as well. Bayern,
Yeah. They lost
Bayern,
Hamlet
who
as
have
well.
won the last. I think it's 37 Bundesliga titles in a
Yeah.
row.
Yeah.
They're currently 13 points off the top spot, which of course is Bayer
Well, Thomas
Leverkusen.
Tuchel said after the game, it's done.
Yeah, well, Thomas Tuchel said after today's game, there's no more need to count points. How many is it? Congratulations to Leverkusen.
It's the first time in.
I mean, he shouldn't be saying that.
He should lose his job for saying
That
that.
is ridiculous. Well, I mean, he knows
Yeah.
he's on his way out.
I think it's the. I think I'm getting the stat right here. I think it's the first time in 20 years that the Bundesliga season hasn't been awarded to Bayern Munich at the start of April. So well done, Leverkusen.
It was
yeah.
unbelievable.
And
wasn't
so,
it?
and people, a lot's been made of Harry Kane not winning a major trophy in his career so far.
Still in the Champions League, though.
They asked him the Champions League. He also,
He has a chance this
Could win it.
season,
I
surely.
would say is the 2011-2012 Millwall Young Player of the Year not a major trophy these days? Because that is outrageous.
That's
it's not.
naughty.
Very cruel.
It's obviously
Yeah,
very
that's
good for
mean.
them.
Could be Champions League. Could be European
do-
Championship.
Do you know what? Well, now we're talking.
But if you're talking club level,
But you know, do you
don't
remember-
drag England into this.
Do you remember back in the day that Michael Ballett used to be called the bridesmaid, didn't he? That
That's
was like
right.
one of his nicknames.
And he went to Chelsea and sorted it out.
Yeah, and he won loads of stuff at Chelsea,
Yeah.
and then ended up picking up some other stuff as well. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen.
If he
But
goes, a
Harry
whole
Kane's
career-
now going to be 31.
I
somewhere.
know.
and he's had a history of ankle injuries.
Yeah,
It's
'cause
funny.
Well, but that's the thing.
All of this is very funny.
But it's in part Alan Shearer-esque, because if you think about the quality,
Alan Shearer won the Premier League.
well,
though.
exactly that, and there's the thing that he can, there's the medal he can slap on the table. But he often Gary Lineker and Ian Wright take the piss out of him on the BBC for not having won the FA Cup. He was finalist twice, I think it was, but definitely twice with Newcastle. I think that was the only 2 finals he played. And there is a kind of feeling that Alan Shearer could have won more trophies. Obviously, Ferguson tried to sign him at United,
Because he turned down United. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but played. Goal scoring records broken and so on. But he won the Premier League.
Yeah.
Or the Premiership, as it was called back
very
then.
early, didn't he, in his career, which is good.
Yeah.
Get that in there, and
I love it.
everything's a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Anyway. Let us move on, because the second half beckons, everybody. We've got Manchester United angering Luke Moore, Newcastle United presumably making Pete Donaldson very, very happy, and Chelsea pissing off Frank Leboeuf. See you in a moment.
You just mentioned the low block. When they hardly allow you to enter the box, what's the solution?
Kill someone.
Guardiola there. Kill someone. Thanks very much to friend of the Ramble, Rachel, for emailing us that clip. You can become a friend of the Ramble too by heading over to patreon.com/Football Ramble. You get access to the Discord, where you can chat with us and other Ramble listeners and get ad-free episodes of the Ramble up front and on the continent. Click the link in the show description to sign up.
Also, Pete will come around your house individually and give you an Easter egg.
Yes.
Ooh.
I've got an
his
absolute
dog.
lockup of damaged Easter eggs that I need to get rid of.
You were made promises about stories that weren't kept.
Yeah, they were like soggy. They've all gone kind of like dusty and white. Ugh.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Brentford won, Manchester United won. There's always another Manchester United performance. Manchester United played 4 games in March, and their opponents in total had 106 shots against them, which is
That seems
extraordinary.
high,
It's
doesn't
like it's 26 shots a game, pretty much.
But then, I
It's
mean,
the opening scene of RoboCop, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that,
every week.
You
is that
can't
indicative
take him
of
down.
of a low confidence goalkeeper, maybe?
Ma-
They just like, go, let's have a go.
He's been quite good.
Yeah.
Onana's been very good.
Wait,
Or in-
the goalkeeper can't stop the shots, can he?
Yeah, but I
Well, you're not kind of coach, are you?
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Maybe that's next. Maybe he has to just leg it out to stop the shot.
I
No one
think
else is
it's-
stopping it.
I think it's poor from the opposition. I mean, they didn't concede anywhere near the amount of goals to shots.
That should have,
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I suppose there probably is some comment to be made about the quality of the shots, and if Man United are reducing teams to shooting from miles out, then
done
maybe
their
they do their
job.
job. But I mean, I've watched some of the games.
And that's
so
not the case.
My opinion is quite different to that.
Eric Ten Hag said after this game, Brentford wanted it more than us the entire game, and Manchester United led. Very briefly, but they did. And Luke, I said at when we went into the break that they angered you. Why did they anger you, and what was the moment that?
Well, I was
particularly
just
angered
angered
you?
with the whole situation, really. And to put it in perspective, as soon as Mason Mount scored, I turned the telly off and went to bed.
You said that
And
you've never been
I
more
was-
angrier than a goal
because
being scored.
I was fuming at the amount of times Brentford should have scored and didn't.
Yeah.
And it annoyed the shit out of me because it was exactly the same as the game last season, and Brentford went into half-time 4-0 up.
Yeah.
And they could have scored 5, 6, 7 goals. They hit the woodwork
mean,
4 times.
That
and then-
Mbeumo one where it sat up nicely for
Yeah.
him and he strikes it off the bar. It's like, come on, man.
And it was an absolute sucker punch.
Yeah.
And it was so late in the game, I just thought, well, that's that. I turned the telly off, went to bed. I didn't know till the next morning that Brentford equalised, which they deserve a huge amount of credit for.
They do.
So my assessment of this game is just on one level, I'm really, really annoyed and disappointed with Brentford because they should have been out of sight. But on the other hand, I do think they deserve a huge amount of credit because if it sucker punched me enough to go to bed, and I don't even support Brentford,
Yeah.
God knows how the players felt, but they still managed to pull it out the bag somehow.
Yeah, I mean, Vish, a good point on the road for your Manchester United, all things considered.
I mean, like, of all the idea that you can, I didn't know this until that game finished. I was so sure that you can't drop a smash and grab, can you?
I know. Well, yeah.
How can you watch it that late?
Yeah,
it's
it's ridiculous.
incredible.
Yeah,
But-
imagine scoring that goal thinking, yes, we're not going to lose the game.
Yeah, that was my thought. I was like, well, it'd be really hard to lose this one now. Brentford were streets ahead of
Miles
Manchester United.
better.
It was
Miles
night and
better.
day.
Considering how out of form they are, obviously their injuries as well. If you think of their system, it relies quite heavily on having 2 really good engaging fullbacks, of which Aaron Hickey's injured, and obviously Rico Henry, who's ideally their starting left back, has been out for a while now and for the rest of the season. And they were so good. They were so
Lewis
good.
Potter was good though, by the
Yeah,
way.
Lewis Potter was very good. I mean, they've all kind of stepped up and and done brilliantly, really. Like, Visa was really good. That through ball to Tony when he hit
Yeah.
off the post was class, actually. And even the pass before it to get him in space. They were exactly what Manchester United want to be and think they can be in the space of a summer.
Yeah.
When really it's it's a charismatic manager who's grooved them so well. And yeah, look, they were such a good footballing team and so superior to Manchester United that even the way they got their equaliser, they've got to leave bitterly disappointed that they didn't muller Manchester United in the way that they did for this fixture the previous season, because they deserved it. Brentford deserved a big scoreline, and United deserved to be on the wrong end of one.
And it was one of those ones where if Brentford had scored one of those early chances, perhaps the whole thing would have been different, because football can be like that. But it also makes me, and it feeds into what I was saying to you guys a couple of weeks ago about Mainu, about the fact that he is a good young player. And yes, he's looked good when he's played for England because the standard of international football is much lower than the Premier League. But if you look at the games he's played for United, so the last 4 games, just taking those because that's what you mentioned at the top of this, United haven't been in control of any of those games at any point, really. I know they beat Everton, but it was 2 penalties. Onana was man of the match. They got absolutely life and death against Liverpool, even though they come off at the end of it. They were destroyed by Brentford, and they were beaten handily by Man City as well. And I just think if you're going to be that kind of midfield player, one thing you do need to exert is control.
It's hard for him, though, isn't it?
It's
All
really
that chaos
hard.
around for him.
Really hard, but
And no player seemed to have achieved that for like 3 years.
I was about to
from
say,
Manchester United as well.
but also as well, I mean, if you're going to bring in the whole England thing, is you're not asking him to go and necessarily control games for England. You're asking him to go in there and compliment Rice and Bellingham, which I thought he did. I mean, look, this.
So you mean they need a Rice and a Bellingham?
They need a Rice and a Bellingham.
Just
They're a
United
Rice
need
and a
a Rice and a
Bellingham.
Bellingham, sure.
Manchester United, they're just 2 players away from having a decent midfield. I'd
2
say.
players and 400 million.
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
And even at the end of all that, McTominay will still come on with 10 minutes left and score.
And he'll be getting the goal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing to think that Brentford haven't won since the 10th of February. To look at this game.
How are they so much better than Manchester
But
United?
this is the point. Manchester United are 6th. There's still a possibility of European places for Manchester United. Now, I know, again, depends on the amount of winners. It could be all the way down. I think the whole of the Premier League could be in Europe next season, or whatever it is. So it's likely that they will get European football anyway. But if you like the traditional places, your top 4 and 5th. To be fair, they're a little bit off it now. But they are 6th in the table, lest we forget. And Brentford are looking over their shoulders. You watch this game, you would think it was completely the opposite.
100%.
It seems like there was a psychological thing left over from last season. Crazy, absolutely crazy. But they, it's a sign of a good side. You play badly and you get a point.
It's no, it's right.
I'm not even going to dignify that.
No.
Oh, wait, lovely for Mason Mount though. One of Gareth Guy's former. Is he on the plane from that, Peter?
That'll do.
Get him in there.
I'd love it if he just...
Eminem on the P.
He's done absolutely nothing all season.
Apart from that.
He scores that goal.
Yeah.
I'd
Apart
love his
from that.
celebration. I'd love his celebration to have been whip the shirt off, England shirt underneath.
See you in Germany.
Mount.
See you in Germany.
Just a boarding pass in his sock.
Gets a mobile phone out of his sock, just calls Gareth.
Oi, oi. Yeah,
Seeing
you
this?
hear the ringtone because he's up in the stands. He's watching it. That seems unlikely.
Yeah, it does.
Mm.
But
Even-
I'm joking aside, you should be pleased with Mount because he's done it really tough.
Yes,
And
indeed.
it's good for him to get a goal. I mean, he would have thought that would have been the winner, right?
Fair.
But he plays for Man United, so,
They
so
are.
it's not
You've
possible.
always got to keep
Oh,
on your
really?
toes. So yes, it's unlikely that Mount will go to Germany. It's even less likely that one of Gareth's former guys, Jesse Lingard, will go. The former Manchester United man, of course, went to South Korea to much fan fever. Of course, I think they set a record in his opening or his
And
debut.
a lot of people were
There was over 50,000.
excited
there.
about it, yeah.
Very-
Playing like it's quarter fever.
Yeah, well, and that's it, Peter. We thought we'd have a little update, and it's not going well.
Right.
The manager of FC Seoul, the team he plays for, of course, has claimed that Lingard doesn't fight, he doesn't run. He said he's been thinking a lot about removing Jesse. He is injured at the moment, but it is not boding
Do you reckon
well.
he's just going around his house when he's injured and going, why aren't you running? Run.
Yeah,
run?
I think it could be. I think it's more likely that he's looking at him on the football pitch and saying, "Why aren't you running? Run!" And I think that's the problem. It's sad, Peter.
It is sad, but it is quite funny that that he's experiencing South Korean culture in that there's a lot of honesty in how people describe you. If you are, people will happily point out that you've got a bit of a belly.
Right, okay.
Sometimes poke it.
Is this bitter experience?
Bitter experience, yeah. I just drank too many. What was the Scottish beer that we were talking about in
Skull.
Scott? No, it wasn't Skull. But yeah.
Have you been? I want to know. You've been to Korea, right?
Yeah, but that's something that the
Have
Korean
you been
stereotype
abused
is
by
that
Korean
all,
locals
that
a
all,
lot?
that all
What
the
did they
men.
say
I got
about
run
you?
over by an elderly man, didn't I? In his scooter.
Oh, yeah.
He tried to bribe him with cigarettes. Oh, kill me slow this time.
Ah, when you say like, did he knock you over? Or
Knocked
did
me over. Yeah, his scooter was on me. He was pissed, and he was an old man, and he tried to give me some cigarettes to say sorry.
How many?
His scooter,
How
Uh,
does your
it was like
life
nine cigs, 9
his
tabs.
scooter was on me.
Was it
It's
on
on
you?
me.
It's on
It's
you.
on
Can you control
me.
your scooter, please, like a dog?
I've only brought
Oi.
I've only brought one pair of yellow chinos. They're ruined.
Stop smoking and drinking. Get off.
Did you only have one pair of trousers with you?
Well, I didn't have many. I do travel light.
Yeah, but you
Is
buy
this
though when you're there.
Oh, well, yeah.
This is a particularly stubborn speed bump.
And it's talking to me.
Did he have a go at you then?
No, he was very apologetic, but he didn't have any English words apart from sorry, which was the useful one, I would say.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's
Most
all he
operative at that
needed.
point,
All
yeah.
he needed.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
So
hopefully.
9 cigarettes for running you over. That
Yeah.
seems pretty fair exchange.
I was going to say,
I think so,
does
yeah.
that still count? Or I mean, inflation has that gone up to like 15 now?
God
Probably a
knows.
pack now, isn't it?
Yeah.
20.
The Korean cigarettes, very famously, the motto on the side of them, basically, it's a big picture of a whale, and it says, "The sea hates a coward."
Smoke as many as you
It's a
can.
lovely, it's a
Imagine the
lovely bit of work.
The NHS get into a kind of agreement with the tobacco manufacturer of the UK.
We need
You-
money. We need
You've got
funding.
to have warnings on there. You've got to have warnings on there.
Yeah.
We've workshop the sea hates a coward.
This one's about electricity.
Just running over the sea. Like, Poseidon, what have you been saying about me?
Come on,
Who have you been
mate.
talking to?
Will they have Lingard on them soon?
They
The
do,
football
yeah.
pitch hates a walker.
But the stereotype is that older Korean men are very honest about people's appearances
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
in this
yeah,
case,
yeah.
work rate,
Okay.
which I very much
And in your
enjoy.
case,
Well,
road crossing ability.
And road crossing ability.
road crossing ability. There
He'll
we
get
are.
there.
He will. One day. One day. Let's move on to Newcastle United 4, West Ham United 3.
How is it so far down the run in all? Is it
I
one of the best
know.
games of the
Oh.
season?
Stunner.
I think because we've been talking a lot about the Premier League and bollocks as well.
Yeah.
But we've
Sorry.
enjoyed it. Harvey Barnes, super sub.
Yeah.
Came on for the
Yes.
injured Miguel Amor. I love it. The fact, who was it? Was it Lascelles?
Didn't Almiron come on? I think.
Who
Almiron
was the
came
centre
on
half
like a-
who got injured?
Lascelles.
Lascelles,
Yeah, he's got a bad one as well.
He's out. He's 30 years old. He's got an ACL, but he does have a contract for next season. Enjoy that, Eddie Howe. Enjoy that wobbly
It's
ACL.
just talking about injuries. Newcastle United, it's unbelievable. But thank goodness they've got Harvey Barnes back. Only his 12th league appearance for Newcastle.
Well, he said, "I don't want to be a super sub," and it's like, "Good luck, mate." I mean, not good luck. I mean, you're clearly going to start next game because we've got no players.
The thing is, though,
Newcastle
like
got no players.
when he says he doesn't want to be a super sub, obviously I get that he wants to start games, but he seems so effective off the bench.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's a time of the game where you just don't need that kind
Yeah.
of level of commitment. I think
He's
Harvey-
a good player, Harvey Barnes. He's a lovely player. And you can forget that because of
Lovely
his
finish.
lovely finish with his injuries and so on.
What I loved the way he let it go across him as well.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. But
And this is two quite top heavy teams, isn't it? If you
Yeah.
look at like the best players at West Ham, they're really kind of all attacking players, really.
I mean, Kudus is superb to
Brilliant.
watch.
And
The
then
way he turns and just when he runs, it's no wonder Gordon held him back that time for his first yellow card.
yeah.
It's kind of like, not even I can keep up with him.
But Gordon was sensational as well, by the way.
Yeah.
He was.
He was brilliant. He won both penalties and had an assist. Obviously got sent off right near the end, but he's so combative. You can kind of see that happening. But the Newcastle are quite top heavy at the moment as well because of the injuries they've had, and it was just a fantastic game. And I think what really happened is that West Ham lost control of it when Antonio went off.
Yeah.
When Antonio
It's a
goes
weird
off,
substitution.
the outlook. I mean, I just don't think Antonio's got in his tank anymore because he's obviously pushing on now, and the
He
way
does
he
so much
plays,
He's got to
work.
manage his time. I
he gets
suppose,
for a
doesn't
lot
he?
of work, you know. So
But the player that he replaced him with, I think, he sort of didn't hang him out to dry because he should be able to handle himself. But I think Phillips coming on was just a bit like that.
Oh, I mean,
Oh,
he
this
just
is-
he didn't need that.
Phillips is having an absolute stinker.
Yeah.
Is,
Like,
thi- is
it's
this
sad
not like,
to see.
Will this not be like the making of him? He stays at West Ham. He has an amazing season next season.
I mean, after the middle finger to the fan, I don't think
They're not
he's
going to want to sign him, mate. They're not going to want to sign him.
Yeah.
I could definitely envisage, Leeds getting promoted this season and him going back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, the
Yeah.
aforementioned Jesse Lingard had a very impressive loan spell at West Ham. We thought, well, would that revitalise him?
Right.
I mean, this is just
FC
the
Sol then.
complete. Yeah, this is the complete
But
opposite.
Lingard,
He was at fault for two of the goals, wasn't he? Because obviously he gives away the penalty, and then he's the one that gets done by.
yeah,
He had to. He had to
Admittedly,
get his
Barnes
foot
is
in.
very good.
He has to get him for the penalty, though, doesn't he? I mean,
thing
like,
is
he
with
has to do. He had to do that.
Yeah,
With-
no, of course, yeah, but it's just it's on him, isn't it?
with
Yeah.
the penalty. I forget which pundit it was saying that actually. Actually, no, I think it was Moyes pundit.
I'd like to pundit this game, please.
The impartial observer.
I remember
David
thinking to
Moyes.
myself, Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that. Oh, yes, no, that's right. He was saying that the way Gordon kind of steps over him, he felt Gordon fouled Phillips.
Yeah.
The fact of did
Fuck
you
it.
feel that?
It's my foul now, Captain Phillips.
I just Phillips just has to be more aware, doesn't he?
Well, I think the problem for him is that he is off the back of hardly playing any football, and he plays in a position which is so key to getting into a groove and almost being like metronomic about it. It's no coincidence that, Rodri, for example, who obviously a better player than Phillips, but Rodri plays all the time. Like the reason Jorginho's been so good is because he's been in the team and he's been playing. That metronomic kind of screening role that they all kind of play, perhaps in slightly different ways. If you're someone who has to come off the bench in a high-speed Premier League game and you're tasked with that job, you're basically playing on the edge because you have to make these kind of key decisions. And if it goes wrong and you're a second off it or even half a second off it, the whole thing just compounds and compounds. That affects your confidence. He just can't get in the team. He's not in their first 11. So
Because of his poor performance.
yeah, but Moyes keeps bringing him on. And it gives him more and more rope to hang himself. And he's now getting into the stage where it's getting almost
hang on,
laughable.
but Moyes just took him out of the team. You can't.
Yeah, but he keeps bringing him on.
Yeah, well, he was starting. I mean, soon enough, he won't bring him on. I mean, that's how bad it's going for Phillips because of these errors.
But my point is that when he was starting for West Ham, it was like a fresh start he needed. He hadn't played for ages. He started badly. Moyes was then damned if he didn't, damned if he did. And then now he keeps bringing him on. And it's hard to see where he goes there. I mean, vicious shout about him going to Leeds. That's probably the most likely outcome for him because
Forest feels like a Forest player for me.
well, that's what Lingard did.
Yeah,
Lingard had an amazing time at West Ham.
Learn the lesson.
Went to Forest, which was the wrong move for him. Didn't work out because it's chaotic there. Had he stayed at West Ham, he could still be playing in the Premier League.
I mean, look, West Ham are a very leaky side. I mean, only Brentford, Luton, and Burnley and Sheffield United have conceded more goals than them this season.
I mean, that was appalling game management from Moyes, not just for bringing on Phillips. But, I mean, even that makes sense. But losing Antonio, someone who's is
linchpin.
Yeah, and is au fait with the speed of the game because that seemed to be what Phillips' issue was coming in and Newcastle on the rise and stuff like that. But even
they also changed their goalkeeper as well, didn't they?
Yeah. Even bringing on Johnson as well was a bit like, I didn't really get it. He's not someone who's good with his feet. You were almost inviting pressure on at 3-3 when he came on. And yeah, it's a bit of particular bone of contention for West Ham fans with regards to Moyes and I suppose the way he doesn't see out games, but. No, all credit to Newcastle. There was definitely a stage at 3-1 where I felt like, oh God, are we watching like the end of Eddie Howe here at Newcastle? Just in terms of how things have panned out this season and what they might look to do in the summer. But I mean, that was an incredible atmosphere at the end there.
Yeah, it was
remarkable.
Yeah, and it's just such a great game for the neutral, obviously for the Newcastle United fans as well. But I'm intrigued what Newcastle will do next season. Presumably with injuries, and you would fancy them to maybe make a few more signings. West Ham, yeah, it's a funny one because looking at the table, they're 7th in terms of points and in terms of where they are. They've had a good season. They've had a fairly positive season, but a loss like that, the amount of goals they've conceded, the criticism that Moyes has had, which we've spoken about a number of times on the pod. West Ham 7th, Newcastle United 8th. Could be very differing fortunes next season. But look, West Ham, they still, to use Alan Pardew's turn of phrase, and this was the Alan Pardew derby, you could argue.
Yeah. I would argue that.
They played their part. And that's the thing. They attacking-wise, the way, as I say, Kudus took his goal and
they were great.
Well. They were brilliant.
Tino Livramento was caught out a couple of times defensively. He's had an excellent season, but he was shown up to be quite poor in this match at times.
How did you celebrate the winning goal, Peter?
I was sort of, like when.
Were you with Frank Champion or not?
I wasn't with Frank Champion. No, I was. Do you know when
He's West Ham, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's West Ham, and that's
West
how he
Ham
would word it.
Yeah,
I'm West Ham.
Like when they have from different countries in the world, they show you clips of Voldemort laughing.
Different language.
Did all of them?
Did you?
Did all of them?
Let him do all of them. Carry on.
Do the Australian one.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, enjoyed it. All right.
What was that?
That was the Australian one.
Could you do that for Tony Pulis that time when he? Yeah.
That's really good. That's very good.
Go around the countries.
Yeah.
Oh dear, gentlemen. Let's finish with Chelsea 2, Burnley 2. We got to mention this because a great point for Burnley. Could have been more. if Jay Rodriguez had scored that header or even the rebound. I thought, was it Martin Keown was a bit harsh? When he's like, well, he's got to be putting that away. It was like, what, like a bicycle kick that came really quickly to him. I was like, I understand it was a chance.
I just love you spend £1 billion and you could have been on the end of losing at home to a Jay Rodriguez winner in 2024.
10-man Burnley.
10-man Burnley.
Manager was also away.
Yeah, you were.
Craig Bellamy is managing 10-man Burnley at this point.
At Stamford Bridge.
And Stamford Bridge are breathing a sigh of relief that they got away with a point. I'm sorry, Chelsea fans. Like,
I'm not.
All right.
Yeah. Why? It's funny. They've had their fun.
They've won the Champions League not that long ago.
It's like Man United.
They won the Champions League not that long ago.
Exactly.
And now this. Now this.
Yeah.
Burnley. My goodness.
It's basically like Cole Palmer's basically like the eldest son
Yeah.
in a very chaotic family.
Yeah.
Full of like irresponsible parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's the only one doing the cleaning, the washing,
That's
the
right.
making the dinner for all the kids.
Yeah.
He's the
Keeping the bailiffs away.
he's doing all
Yeah.
that stuff, yeah. He's got a Saturday job. He's doing everything.
Yeah.
And Pochettino's still claiming they're a really great functioning family.
Well, before this game, old Maurizio said, if you look at all the data in the table,
Oh,
we
God.
should be in 4th position.
He's only gone 4th.
All the data.
They're currently 11th, 19 points behind 4th place Aston Villa.
That's damning data, isn't it?
Can you hand us this data?
yeah.
Also, Pochettino's thought process there, he's thinking, what's the highest position I can get away with?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't say top.
No.
No, three of them are fighting for the title.
Man
Aren't they?
City, Arsenal, Liverpool are definitely
Yeah.
better than us.
Yeah.
So I'll go 4th.
Okay, I mean, I'll carry it. So Villa have got plus 20 goal difference, impressive.
Yeah.
Chelsea plus 2.
Yeah.
So
Time's up by 10 year there.
It's interesting that he says
don't
that
know.
because by every measure I can see,
Yeah.
both data and with my own eyes,
Yes.
they're the most mid-table team of the season.
Well, I mean, it feels like there is the shitness derby on Thursday. As
Yeah.
Chelsea host Manchester United at Stamford Bridge.
Oh, that'd be lovely, wouldn't
Yeah.
it? Just pigs in muck.
They might have been
Yeah,
a
but
finish
rolling
the game.
around.
Manchester United 8 points above Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a gentlemanly 0 goal difference, I believe.
Very much so. Yeah.
Don't want to offend anyone.
No,
Nothing, you know,
Not
nothing
fair, not
flashy.
foul.
I think that's about fair.
Yeah.
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 But I mean, you could tell how incensed Vincent Kompany was when Assignon was sent off because
Oh,
it was
man.
harsh.
yeah, I
It
understand.
felt harsh to me.
I understand why he was incensed. He was really kicking off at one point. He was, that's not an effing penalty. He was going, did he not show some respect? And I was
Yeah,
like, don't you know
yeah.
who I am? Sort of thing.
Yeah.
He was so pissed off, and it was over to Craig Bellamy to restore a bit of calm.
Yeah,
And-
yes,
Got
and
just the
yeah.
man for the job.
He's been very quiet, if you think about it.
Mm.
Maybe that's because you need a Vincent Kompany to just be like, just get
I,
behind
I,
me,
th-
Craig.
I think it's also because, like, Craig Bellamy's a little kind of, he's a yappy kind of little dog, isn't he?
Yeah, I thought he'd be Company's attack dog, but I don't think
No,
Company's
but Vincent Kompany's genuinely hard. So
Yeah.
I think he's always become like the Richard Hammond to the Jeremy Clarkson.
Well, I think so. If basically what
Jeremy
you're
Clarkson's
saying,
a proper shithouse.
yeah, but what you're saying is it would take a lot of people to take down Company, and only then would he whistle for Bellamy, and then Bellamy comes in and then helps him out, and then sort of harmony is restored.
You had Cole Palmer reduced in I think it was on Match of the Day, in the interview on Match of the Day, I think.
That's right.
He basically saying that like he was just getting really pissed off because every week it's
Yeah.
the same and people need to do this and people need to do that. And you think, he's like only 21 years old.
2100 years old.
I thought he was very generous to his teammates. We got too comfortable. Same story. We kill ourselves every week. It's got to improve from us as players. We need consistency. No.
You're
what he
fine,
should have
Paul.
said was,
You're fine.
it's got to improve from them,
Yeah.
my teammates. Tim Sherwood tried to basically the other week, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Chucked him under the bus.
Was like, you're doing really well. Your teammates are a bit crap, but he shows you what a professional he is on and off the pitch because he held his nerve there.
Sherwood.
He's
does.
he's quietly having a top tier season for Chelsea in
Yeah.
terms of numbers, considering all the great strikers that they've
yeah.
had. I think he's up there with goals and assists for anyone in their debut season, and
Really, right.
up there with people like Diego Costa and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, I think.
Yeah.
So
Well, and,
yeah.
and he'll be unlucky because I think due to the nature of the recent international break, how it kind of went with regards to England, so on, I think he'd be unlucky to miss out on the Euros. I expect he will, but he's got a great future.
Definitely. I think there was a lot of talk, I think, last week, I think that Bukayo Saka's having his best season in terms of return for goals
Yeah.
and assists. Cole Palmer scored as many goals as him
Yeah.
in the Premier League.
So there you are. We promised you Frank Leboeuf, or you're going to get him. Former Chelsea man, of course, was scathing about Chelsea, saying that the board have destroyed the club and the players have no stamina, nothing in their hearts, nothing in their brains. They don't know what to do. Well, of course they don't know what to do if they've got nothing in their brains.
I'd love it if he was like, no stamina, nothing in their heart, nothing in their... All right, Cole, how you doing, mate?
Apart from him.
Not you.
Yeah.
You know, Frank Leboeuf, I found this out the other day in a pub quiz. Frank Leboeuf was in the Theory of Everything.
That's right, yeah.
He was, yeah.
Yes. The doctor.
You don't know anything, do you?
No,
He did play a doctor.
I haven't
He's
watched
the
it.
doctor.
It's about what's his face?
What's his
Smart
chops?
man.
Eddie Redmayne.
No, not Eddie Redmayne. Who does he play again?
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Stephen
Yeah.
Hawking.
Stephen
you
Hawking,
maniac.
yeah.
He's
Started
been
wearing a
quite.
bit, innit?
He's
He has
not
been
done
quiet.
much of late, has he, Stephen Hawking?
No, he's probably
No.
come back. He's probably come back to America.
Motivational speech for England ahead of the Euros, mate. maybe?
Yeah, could
yeah,
do.
good.
Yeah.
I
In
mean,
case
you never
anybody
think
is
of it.
unsure, he is dead.
Just press play.
You know, I think it's like-
Unbelievable.
It's not. What did he say?
Just press play.
To wrestle it back to Frank Leboeuf, the reason this is like doubly damning for Chelsea is because Frank Leboeuf didn't even win a league title for Chelsea. He's not even one of the ones from the main era.
I love that.
He's a World Cup winner, though.
I love
Yeah.
this so much, and because the opposite is happening with Manchester United right now. People who've won stuff, like former, Manchester United legends,
Yeah.
have to go on TV and sit through United games.
Yeah.
Whereas the other way, with like whether it's City or Chelsea, the ones who've like got like hundreds of appearances for them who've won fuck all.
Yeah.
Commenting on like people who've won the Champions League. Like,
I'd love it if Winston
3 years
Bogart.
ago.
Well, it's a disgrace. They don't want it. They're lazy. Heart's not in it.
They're overpaid.
Overpaid.
Underperforming.
Mention for Burnley, though, we've got to say. They're still in 19th, but they've moved to within 4 points of both Forest and Luton Town.
Oh, I like
So,
it.
yeah, I mean, you think someone's dead and buried?
They're going to be relegated from the Premier League this season. What else do you want me to say?
Four is
No
a lot.
notes.
At that end of the table, 4 points is a lot.
However-
especially with only what 8
Unbeaten,
games left.
unbeaten in 3. This is a huge point. This is the kind of thing that can galvanise a side as
They're-
well.
Genuinely, rather than shoring up their defence, it's probably about getting their best lawyers looking into the accounts of other clubs above them.
It's
It
not
could
a bad
be.
shout,
That's,
really,
that's
yeah.
really the stage of it.
It's only 4 points. The bad news is they've won 7 points in their last 13 games. So, I mean, they're going to need to go some, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, I tell you what,
You
if
said that were relished, didn't you?
Yeah, they're going to be relegated.
if Cullen is producing moments like that, a few more of them,
They beat Sheffield United 5-0. Don't forget that.
don't forget.
There's also like
And they took 4 points off Fulham. This
it's going to
season.
be it's ever shifting as well. But bear in mind that Luton play Arsenal midweek. Forest have Fulham, obviously in form. Everton, Newcastle, in terms of the teams above Burnley. And Burnley got Wolves, which is obviously Wolves are a decent side, but they've got some key injuries there. So I don't know. Like maybe there's a twist.
Maybe.
Sheffield United go to Anfield.
Yeah.
Thank you for leaving me my favourite food. Absolute bloodbath. Look
Oh
at that.
dear, there we are, everybody. Thank you very much for listening to the Football Ramble, part of the Acast Creator Network. Do join us on Wednesday, of course, when you will be back at work, I would have thought, and we certainly will be.
Why are you so worried about people being at work?
Very,
all night?
Yeah.
very
I'm
kind of
cons-
direct.
Do you want to stop remote working as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah, that's well. I'm just saying
You'll
that
be
some
all back at
people.
work, won't you? And your houses will be left unattended. Cat burglar speller
A lot
out.
of people
Yeah.
work from home these
They
days.
do.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
worth pointing out that Vish won the Jackson Cyclopedia
did.
title on Friday, and he's bottled next Friday, isn't he? He won't be coming
Oh,
in
is
this
that what
week.
it is?
Rich from you.
I'm just saying, take me on.
All
mate.
right, we'll do it now.
I'm here.
I'll find the document.
Let's-
We've
Yeah,
got
we
some-
should
we've
do a
got
money in the bank
yeah,
style thing.
Yeah, exactly. You can cash it in whenever you want.
It's a bit quiet now, aren't you, Lukey?
Anytime, anywhere.
Anywhere. Well, I'm just saying that Pete, or Vish rather, did hammer in the door for the weekend and broke it. Just saying that the fence, the doors, and all the rest of it will be back up.
Oh, right. It'll be
So you
resurrected.
Don't
Marcus,
get caught behind it.
When we walked in this morning, I walked into the studio just after Pete, who then said, without even saying anything else, just went, "Oh yeah, I left my hammer in here on Friday." It's like, how is this my
I
working
did,
life?
yeah.
Oh,
We
dear.
tested each other's moisture, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a different
With
thing.
my probe.
Right, do follow us on X, which hasn't been called Twitter officially for ages, so stop calling it that. But you can find it at twitter.com. TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at Football Ramble, and follow us on Spotify. Thank you, Luke Aaron Moore.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pete Diggory
Yeah,
Donaldson.
April Fools. This was all a big April Fools.
Aha.
None of this happened.
Take your mask off, it's Jim Campbell.
Ah, and it's before midday as well, so that counts.
Yeah, that's the point.
Dear. And thank you, Vitushina Hantharaja.
Thank you.
You don't have, do you have a middle name?
No.
No, okay.
I imagine it's a bit like Pangea. Like, I think maybe it did, but then it just broke away.
Into one.
Yeah.
Lovely reference for the old country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good band breaking, Pangea.
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.